The following is a production by Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. You can support Lone Star Community Radio by donating and sponsoring programs just like this. For more information, check us out online at irlonestar.com. This segment is brought to you by...
Since 2004, Roger Stein Chiropractic has offered spine and joint manipulation services to residents of Montgomery County and surrounding areas. Conditions treated include lower back pain, migraines, headaches, whiplash, carpal tunnel, neck pain, sciatica, joint pain, sports injuries, herniated discs, and complications from pregnancy. Roger Stein Chiropractic, led by Dr. Stacy Rogers and Dr. Brian McGee, is an integrity-verified chiropractic clinic. Call 936-441-9990 for an appointment, or visit rogerssteinchiropractic.com. That's RODGERSSTEIN chiropractic.com.
Team Sinisi is a proud sponsor of Conroe Culture News. Vinny Sinisi and his professional team provide comprehensive real estate services throughout the greater Montgomery County area and beyond. Whether looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, Team Sinisi has an impeccable reputation. Contact Team Sinisi for a great experience at teamsinisi.com. That's TEAMSINISI.com. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC-LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Okay, I am sitting right across the table from John Hafley, and we've kind of been to a lot of the same events together, but you have not been, so maybe he can tell us a little bit about his candidacy for County Court of Law 1, and he is located on Facebook, Hafley for Judge, and hafleyforjudge.com. That's Hafley. So welcome, John.
Well, thank you, Margie. I appreciate it.
So this is exciting. Are you excited for the race?
I am, and it's an exciting time. So, it's the Christmas season, so obviously from now until around the first of the year, we're going to be taking a bit of a breather, putting God, family first, and what's the reason for the season.
That's
and
right.
Families coming back from college, and we're going to celebrate that time. So,
of course.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic run so far. So I appreciate you allowing me to be on the show today, and I look forward to any questions you might have.
So when did you start this whole candidacy program?
So it was early August. I want to say August 6th is when I filed the initial paperwork that we had to file to run. So I thought about being a judge for about 5 years now.
Really?
So at 4 years ago, it's the same benches that are running today, minus, of course, the new one, number 6. But I wasn't going to run against the incumbents. They weren't going to retire. So I said, I'll wait my turn. Plus, family situation wasn't the same as it is now. And my wife and I talked about it 4 years ago, and we decided this would not be a good time. Then 4 years later, it was the perfect time. So County Court of Law 1 was the targeted seat that I always wanted in this county. It's a criminal misdemeanor court. Now, I know it's a court of general jurisdiction, and we all know that, but the judges have designated one as a criminal misdemeanor court, and there's nothing foreseeable that's going to change that. The majority of my experience throughout my life has been related to the criminal justice system. So I was a police officer for 8 years coming out of college. I was an MP in the Army for the last 30 years, still serving today as a brigadier general and a division commander out of Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I've always had that criminal justice, military background. And then I was a prosecutor for 2 years when I rose to the level of chief of a felony court, and I was a prosecutor up in Walker County, which is Huntsville. So 1 was my targeted bench that I always wanted to be on. And once I found out, I heard that Dennis Watson was retiring, so I immediately contacted him to confirm it, because I'm not going to run against the incumbent or Dennis Watson at the time.
Why?
It was a choice that I made. It was a personal choice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like it's against the rules, but
No.
it's just a personal choice that I wanted to make. And when I found out that he was retiring, that's when I turned in my paperwork the very next day. So I contacted him, and he confirmed it, and we had a good conversation. It was private, but it was a good conversation. And I turned in the paperwork and announced my candidacy for County Court at Law number 1.
So how has it been?
It's been exciting. So never a politician, never attended many political events. My first political event was in college when Reagan came to talk at my college, and that was my first foray at 18 years old into the political world. And then a few here and there, but not a lot of political events. I worked a lot of hours in the Army Reserve, so I was a drive to work, drive home type of guy. We did a lot of volunteer work with my kids through National Charity Roundtable, National Charity League. We did a lot of hours of community service.
And how many children do you have?
We have 2. We have 1 boy and 1 girl. So NCR is for boys and NCL is for the girls. And we put a lot of time into that. My wife was in the junior league, and she's always been in the community, always helping out. So she's been I'd say a mainstay in driving us to make sure that we understand that we are extremely blessed as individuals. And when we started out, she married a sheriff's deputy who was making $12,000 a year, who's working in a jail, and we together have built a miraculous, that might be a little strong, but a fantastic family with the things that they have and the means now to give back to the community. So we enjoy that. And she's the driver behind that. Now, into running for judge. County Court at Law, like I just said, is a criminal misdemeanor court. And there's no indication at all that the judges are going to shift away to be in general jurisdiction again. Now, I looked it up just to make sure I could bounce my numbers around. Since becoming an attorney on my own, I've handled over 1,000 cases. Of those 1,000, I have over 110 cases that are family law related. I have about 60 that are probate related. So I've had lots of experience in other fields. I'm not a quote-unquote one-trick pony where it's criminal justice or nothing else. So I've had lots of experience in the family law and probate. My last trial, in fact, was a family law trial, a divorce trial. And that's the last one that I've had. And it was about 2 weeks ago. So
people generally, though, come to you for criminal cases?
Generally. So the majority of my cases would be criminal cases, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. And your office is in downtown Conroe?
Downtown, right next to Mimi's on Main Street. So when you're looking at Mimi's, it's the first office on the left.
Or you go see Santa Claus.
Right. Yeah, if you see Santa during the
weekends.
The weekends and during the Christmas season, we're right there. But yeah, that's where my office is. Been in Conroe since 2012. My office has been in Conroe. Yep. So that's why I'm running. I want to give back to the community. I've been, like I said, a police officer, and that's service to the community. I mean, it's not service to yourself. As a police officer, you never know what your next call is going to be, whether you're going to pull over a guy with a gun at this corner or your next call is going to be a burning building and you're the first responder. What are you going to do? You got to react immediately when you get there. Been in the Army 30-plus years, led 1,200 troops in combat in Iraq. We lost 4 of them, so that was crushing to us. And it's I think servant leadership is important. I think experience matters. I think leadership matters. So that's why I decided to run. If I didn't think I was the most qualified candidate, I wouldn't be running. To be qualified for a judge is pretty simple. 4 years as an attorney, over 25 years old, and you live in the county for 2 years, period. That's it. So that's like 99.9% of the attorneys who fit in that category are qualified to be judge. But most qualified, in my opinion, you have to have a wide variety of experience to include, like I've just stated. It doesn't mean everyone running for judge has to be a police officer at one time. I'm not saying that. And not everyone running for judge has to be a veteran or serve 30 years in the military. I'm not saying that.
No, but that's your qualifications.
Those are the qualifications,
what you own. Yes.
Correct, that I think set me apart from my competitor.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Have you ever gotten your name on the line yet at the Veterans Memorial Park?
Yeah, so I'm turning in my application to get my name on the line. So I missed the last one, and yeah, absolutely. It's a fabulous. So what this county has done for veterans and what Will Metcalf has done to secure that funding is outstanding. And if you haven't been down there, please go take a look at it. If you're a veteran, go take a look at it. Go down there, walk around, look at the names on the line. It's available to you if you're a veteran, or if your parents were a veteran, or if your grandparents were a veteran. It's available to mark their service in time forever at this memorial. So I appreciate what you all have done down there. It's been fabulous. And I've attended a number of events beforehand, and I was just the veteran down there like the rest. And now when you see it kind of from the other side, because you know all the people, I know every single one of the people now that are on the board, you get a different perspective of what it means, and you see the tears in the crowd, and you see the joy for the names that are on there, or the sorrow for those who didn't make it back. You can really, it's a touching, every time there's a tribute down there, I love going. Yep.
Well, and you can have served anywhere in the country, any branch of the military, as long as you were honorably discharged.
Right.
Or current, active, whatever. So, all right, moving on. So you've talked a little bit about your experience as an attorney and your background, and you've even contrasted a little bit with the other candidate. Is there anything you'd like to see done differently, if anything? I don't know.
Yeah, so the county court at law number 1 is it's moving its cases at a steady pace. There are some things, like all leaders, in my opinion. Your first 90 days in, you have to observe. You have to know what you know. You can't just see it from the other side and say, this is what I would change, because that change could be so drastic it would throw everything off. So in the first 90 days, do the observation, be the judge, be in charge, run the courtroom, and then start implementing the changes that you'd like to see. So I've worked in 40 different courts in the state of Texas, 40 different courts, and I've seen really good courts, and I've seen not so good courts. So I'd like to take the best of the best and kind of blend them into one court. So number 1, trials. Trials. I could list those as the first 3. More trials need to take place. Why? Because that's what moves the docket. There are people that are sitting waiting on their case for 2 years. That's not justice served to anyone, to the state, to the community, to the individual accused. That's not justice. So we got to start moving with more trials. And what that number is, I'd have to see after the first 90 days. You set them. You're in charge of the court. You set the trials. You set them. You get with the county clerk. You said, these are the days. You don't
postpone them.
No.
You keep them moving forward.
You keep them moving. And you set your trial docket, and you set your trial docket pretty deep, meaning there's going to be a number of them that are on the trial docket, because if the first 10 plea, then we still need to have a trial. We need to have justice. So you set your trial docket. So first and foremost, docket control numbers, docket control forms. What that is, let's say Sam. This is Sam. He is a person accused of something. He goes to his first court date. You read him all of his arraignment rights. He has a right to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent himself. Then Sam gets on a docket control form, which means Sam's first pretrial is at X date. Your next pretrial is at this date. You owe motions by this date, and this is your date that you're going on the docket. And you set that out up front. That helps you manage the docket overall. So Sam can't come back on the final docket and say, well, I didn't know, right? Or Sam's attorney can't say, well, I failed to file this motion to ask for more time.
So you make them accountable.
You got to hold them accountable. Absolutely have to hold them accountable. So that's first. You set their dates. And then you have trials. You just have them. And then you keep having them. So the reason
things are postponed a lot of times are because the judge postpones them.
Well, I wouldn't say the judge postpones them. Just sometimes the dockets have to be managed.
It's a teamwork thing.
It's a teamwork between the court coordinator, the defense attorney, the state. There's a number of reasons. Trust me, from working for the state and working on the defense, there's always something that comes up. As a prosecutor, your number 1 case might be set, and then your expert who drew the blood or your expert who examined the blood is on maternity leave. Okay, That's a good reason. That's not an excuse. You file your motion. I need a motion for continuance because my expert is on maternity leave. I think everyone understands that. On to the defense. Hey, I'm defense counsel X, and I have 3 trials set next week. These are the cases. Based on the local rules, case A takes precedent over the case that's in your court, John. Can I have a continuance? That's a last-minute continuance that I would grant because that's what the local rules. So that's what I'm talking about. But there'd be other cases below that we can try. So you just have to manage your dockets.
Just manage it all the time. Stay on top of it.
Manage, or I like to say command, because that's what I was taught in the Army. When you command, you're in charge. So take command. Take charge of it. So that's the first change, is to have those controls, have lots of trials, and then utilize technology to the best of its benefits, right? We've learned a lot during this Zoom court era. Some Zoom courts are terrible. Some Zoom courts are very, very efficient. So what I'm looking at, and I will make the determination after elected, is that we will have an open plea Friday, which means you can have pleas in front of me, pleas on Zoom, as long as everyone has the right paperwork, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. All day Friday, I'll be available to take pleas. And if the other county courts of law want me to take their pleas, I absolutely will do it. So that will help move cases also. So, because sometimes attorneys aren't available on X date because they have all these other dockets. Right. But Friday is typically a pretty open date in the criminal world. So those are the things that I'm looking at.
That's interesting.
Yep.
That's good information. So what would you want voters to know about you?
So 2 things that I would want voters to know. Number 1, leadership matters. And why do I say that? It's not just because I've had leadership positions throughout my entire life, but leadership matters. You don't know what kind of leadership a person has just by reading their name. You have to dig deep. So I've commanded at every level in the United States Army possible. From company command to division command, I've commanded. And I didn't get to these other levels by failing to lead. Right?
They don't gift that to you.
They don't gift it. It's not something that is given.
It isn't something that the military does.
No, it is earned.
Right.
So I've earned the confidence of the United States military, which I think has earned the confidence of the entire nation, that I have the qualities to lead. So leadership matters. And experience matters. Experience in all facets of life, but all facets of the criminal justice system. So I have one person, I always like telling this story. There is one human being out there that I won't name that I arrested as a police officer. I then prosecuted on a different case 8 years later as a prosecutor. And then 6 years later, I was appointed to him as a defense counsel. So there's one person that I've had every aspect of his life, from arrest to prosecution to defense.
Are you friends with this person?
I think we are.
At this point?
I think we are. We get along. We know each other. If we see each other out, we can say hi. It's, as he says, it's business. But that experience matters. So when a police officer is doing something on the side of the road on a video, I'm not just visualizing it. I 3D can remember those days, and I can remember how difficult it was, or how difficult it was to knock on a judge's door. And when they knock on my door at 3 a.m, they're going to know that door's open because I've had to knock on it. So I think experience matters in that aspect of across the board. In the defense community, they've worked with me. They know that I'm diligent in my cases, easy to get along with. I'll cover for them. That's leadership. That's experience. And the prosecution world knows that I went through that. So I think those things matter. So that's what I'd want the voters to know. Experience matters, leadership matters. If you want an experienced leader as your next judge of county court at law number 1, then please come out starting February 14th for early voting, and then March 1st.
It's just around the corner.
It's just around the corner, Valentine's Day.
Literally.
So
2 months from now.
And there's a lot of forums coming up. So if you're like, I'm listening to this, I like what this guy is saying, but I didn't hear who he's running against, come to the forums. Come meet me one-on-one. Go to my website. My website has my personal cell phone number on it. I'm not afraid of doing that. Contact me. Shoot me a text. Ask me a question. Meet me for coffee. I'll talk to you. Absolutely. And my email address is on there. Shoot me an email. I'll respond within 48 hours. If I don't, send me another one.
Yeah, you respond pretty quickly.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, and
Try
you
to.
have a very even-keeled demeanor. I know demeanor is important, too, for
Right.
a judge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one thing that, how is the court?
We have seen some crazy ones
Well, I'm not going to.
as candidates, and not in this race. I'm
Right.
saying in the past.
So
Crazy.
there are different personalities out there, but I appreciate you saying that because things can get fast and furious at times, but like I often say, if you can lead 1,200 in combat in Iraq, someone badgering you on the bench is not going to affect you much. You're going to walk out of there pretty safe. So you can't let that get to you.
You've seen worse.
I've seen much worse.
You've seen much worse.
And things have been said, and people have been saying things, and it's that's part of, unfortunately,
Really?
part of
I
politics.
haven't heard anything.
Yeah, there's things.
Well, I guess
There's always things.
you're out there in the battlefield, so to speak, right?
So to speak, correct. So and it's okay. Those aren't going to bother me. Those can't bother me.
Well,
but
I actually haven't seen any horrible things going on in Montgomery County, or maybe I'm just innocent of it. I don't know, but I haven't heard any bashing of anybody.
yeah. So we and
Everybody seems to get along pretty well.
Oh yeah, no. So my opponent and I, we were friends before this, and we'll.
I mean, you're downtown.
right. We'll
You see
talk
each
to
other in court. I mean,
I'd say.
Have you worked on opposite ends
He and
before,
I
ever?
have never had opposing. We never had opposing clients in a family law case, and I was a prosecutor, I think, before he was licensed. So I didn't have any cases
Interesting. That's good.
on that. So we've never directly opposed each other that I can recall. And if we did, it settled out.
It was insignificant.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Well, that's
but
cool.
No, nice guy. He and I, we'll see each other in court 2 to 3 times a week. No issues.
We all live in the same community, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't saying he.
No,
but
no,
there
I
have
get
been. I received private messages on Facebook that would just make you shake your head. But what can you do, right? It's all just go above the fray and
Just
stay
move
strong.
forward, right? I
Yep.
mean, like I said, I haven't seen, not necessarily this race, which I haven't seen anything in this race, but any other races, I
Right.
haven't seen any bashing of people.
Sure,
because
yeah.
nobody wants to listen to that.
Nah,
They
no.
they just don't. That actually does more damage.
I agree. So
So
I would ask people to focus on those 2 things: leadership and experience.
very good. So let's talk again about how they can reach you.
Yeah, so Hafley for Judge on Facebook. I have a pretty decent Facebook following, close to 1,000, I believe, right now. So get on Hafley for Judge, look me up, or just John Hafley. You can friend me directly. And then www.hafleyforjudge.com. So FOR is spelled out. So Hafley, HAF as in Frank, LEY, forjudge.com. Those are the 2 best ways to reach out to me. Our next big event, January 28th, we're excited about it. It's going to be out in Montgomery, out at Dobbins Station. So we are excited about that. So keep an eye out. Love to get to know you. Love to get to meet you personally. Get to meet you and talk about things and ask it. You can answer. I will answer any questions that you ask. So let me say that clearly. I will answer any questions that you ask, even if it's not pertaining to my race. I'll answer your questions.
Pecan or pumpkin?
Yeah, right. If it gets down to that,
Yeah.
and is it pecan or pecan, right? So that's kind of another
I call
one.
it pecan.
Yeah, and I've heard pecan. So
I'm a pumpkin pie girl myself.
See, I'm a sweet
Breakfast with coffee,
I'm a sweet potato guy.
Okay.
There you
Okay.
go. There you
So
have it. All right. So those are the differences.
Okay. Well,
And if
thank you very much.
Yeah, and please don't vote for or against me because I like sweet potato pie, right? So really look at the issues.
With
That's
whipped
what's
cream?
important, of course.
Okay. Well, then
of course.
we're on the same page.
Right, we're there.
All right. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much for having me today. I do appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all of you out there, and enjoy the new year. 2022 is going to be exciting.